All right, this is already going to be an exciting set by the fact we're opening on Bridges, one of the brand new maps. One and all, welcome back to the coverage of the Elite Classic 2 qualifier. We are here for a decided series to see who will make it through. Will it be Corvinus or will it be CsOH? Channeling his inner Naruto. That's right, Uchiha Obito is in fact CsOH of Team Elephant here. We're going to have a best of 5 decide who makes it through. An interesting one as well, actually, considering that we open up with English versus Ayyubids on the brand new map Bridges. Now, this is a matchup that I genuinely feel favors the English quite heavily. It does depend on a few key things. It depends on like which way your opponent wants to, I say English, Ayyubids heavily. It depends on a few things. I think you need to kind of hone in on this idea of playing like feudal presence with the Mastersmiths. More often than not, when I've seen Mastersmiths come out, the English have gotten rolled. But so far, I've been watching a few games where the Ayyubids have been getting a little bit too cute and playing alternative to that. We're going for the 2x speed on the opener just because it accelerates that early game that we know shouldn't be very present. Ayyubids are just going to go for a tech up. English are going to go for a tech up. In fact, I'm even going to try the 4x speeder. Scout rotation is looking fairly decent so far, actually. A good start to the game for Ping. So CsOH after to a bender here. Meanwhile, Corvinus, oh, dude, he made that mistake. We've noticed a few players doing this. It feels like the sheep spawn on the north side are just not worth the time it takes to rotate. It takes you so long to basically yield a maximum of 6 sheep covering this area of the map. Much better to play central and then cross. And it looks like that's exactly what was happening from CsOH. He does get cut off towards the end by Corvinus. But unfortunately for Corvinus, the way that the resources are spawned meant all the sheep forward spawned. None of them spawned behind due to the gold and stone placement. So overall, a better haul coming in for the English in this game. Corvinus, of course, still with 9 sheep to work with. Missing another one there, so it's going to be 14 on the other side. And remember, the big difference here is that Corv isn't going to start with the sheep, right? He's going to move out in the berries, and I love this. It's the Mastersmiths play. Another cool detail, look at what Corvinus has done. This is Mastersmiths into potentially a growth wing play. I don't know if you want to rush that, though. The way he's exhausting the berries feels like he's going to leave them afterwards. But, folks, this is like the be-all, end-all right now. When you play against the English, fast castling is very difficult because your resources can be shut down, right? Like, for example, unless you get 2 outposts set up, you can't easily guard your gold, and most of the time you only want to set up 1. The cool thing about this game, though, is look what Corvinus done. Was there meant to be a love in the middle of that, Corvinus? I'm not sure. So the interesting thing is this now prevents the rotations onto the gold unless CsOH wants to go all the way around the back of the base to reach that gold. And that's way too far. You just get cut down by any sort of troops coming out. So, pretty good now. Doesn't mean he gets past his early game. Weird part to me is that he went Mastersmiths when he had a spawn like this. I think with a spawn like this and the way he approached it, Mastersmiths is kind of unnecessary, right? Because unless you're willing to play a long feudal, I think Mastersmiths falls a bit flat because you still have to build the blacksmith to even get the techs in the first place. And that's where the big edge comes in, is that you beat the English to the punchline of getting blacksmith upgrades. And essentially it means that their archers trade poorly against your own, right? It's a 2 damage difference at that stage. But that's not what we're getting out of Corv. It genuinely is going to be castle. That's kind of weird, man. I think like this was a mistake not getting growth wing and then probably advancement wing here if this was your strategy from this position. I don't think you can play logistics because of the way Lombos are going to guard the map, so your dervishes would just die. Trade wing doesn't make much sense either. Yeah, he's genuinely going growth wing. But he's exhausting the berries is the bigger problem here. Gold is a little bit slow on the gathering, right? It took a while to set up that. And on top of that, he had to move out into the stone to get the arrowslets. Yeah, he went for the forward one here. So a lot of time lost there. I'm always looking awkwardly on when I see this type of move where you go for the stone gathering because you don't go wheelbarrow with this Ayyubid build. So there's a lot of idle time just to get that defense up. But unfortunately, against the Lombos, you have to. That's another reason why I'm a bigger fan of playing a long feudal up against the English, just because of the big edge you get midway through. Unfortunately, the only person getting an edge here is CsOH. And he is going for that wide rotation. Now, this is the thing. I said this was dangerous, but something you have to realize is right now, Corvinus has no units to defend himself with. Not a single unit has been built. No archers, no horsemen, nothing. If CsOH goes, he will shut out the goal, but he needs to be fast about this. 10 workers now out to that gold line. Corvinus looks like he's going to get it. And that hesitation from CsOH may have just closed the gap. The opportunity here. Corvinus is going to get what he needs, and it looks like it is indeed going to be that growth wing. He's moved away before he exhausts the rest of the berries. That's 500 extra resources. Now, He's going to have to make do with sheep until he can reclaim his area. A little bit of gold left to go. I mean, this should be enough between what's left to drop off. Yeah, starts to shift him away. Love this. Just leave 5 around because they can gather and then just go in the tower. Things get grim, but right now you need to be quick on the micro. Corvinus not exactly doing that there. Leaving it in the last second, so these villagers are just a liability now. They'll have to come home. He did get enough, but instead... Oh my god, dude, that was sick. I can't believe he dodged that. That was sick micro right there from CsO. He actually got one of the villagers. He should have got the second, but Corv rallied inside just in time. So does back away from the gold. But now you're going Castle Age. You're getting Growth Wing, but you don't actually have any gold, which means you can't do anything with Castle, right? You can't get Lancers, you can't get Golems, you can't get your hands on upgrades for archers. You're very handcuffed. So instead, he really has to think about going for Horsemen and spamming them out to break this. The weird part to me is that right now, we're actually seeing CsO rotating back around the tree line with the spears. Got 2 times speed here because I love what's happening behind. Dude, this... CsO does not skip a beat. I wondered if he was going to do it when he ran into the deer. I wondered if this was going to be about maybe men-at-arms spam instead, but it's not. Look at his own tech timing here. Corvinus, halfway there. CsO is about to pull the trigger, and he can match your timing here into the next stage, which is unfortunate for Corvinus because the difference is that CsO can actually access gold. Corvinus cannot. What a sick build. It's like a little bit of gold gathering there. I'm a bit surprised, actually. CsO backing away doesn't make much sense here. You just need to camp here. I just said he's not going to have any gold. You're making me a wrong man here, Mr. Pink. So it's going to be a shift away now. But that's enough gold to get together something to push away these Lombos. I mean, realistically, it's going to be racks and Golems to clear it. But that works. It might have been better in his eyes to get veterancy. I don't think so. I think the Golem is actually much better here. It's faster than the Longbow. One of them will take out 6 of these Longbows easily. Even if you rush the veterancy, it just doesn't feel like it's going to be quite quick enough here. So, King's Pass online. And now CsO's going to have to peel back. But, I mean, you have to be very comfortable with this, right? Yeah, tech up completes, but it's mirrored timing, and now your opponent, although he's got extra villages, that's only temporary, remember. Unless he goes for multi-TC, he's going to start to fall behind. Another thing is, right now, you've still got him pinned in his base, so it's kind of insanely greedy, but realistically, CsO could go for a monastery in a rush here to secure 4 relics. I think 4 is still doable, very doable if you rush it, but instead, actually focusing on eco. The Lombos are going to be more or less thrown away. The fact that Corvinus is going into archers and Golems already has more or less revealed his hand. And even though you can't see the confirmation units, I think you're seeing a trickle out. Yeah, the scout did see. Meanwhile, Corvinus' own scout has to move away. Luckily, it's at least tanking for the villagers. Like, these are squishy villagers, remember. No steeled arrows, so they don't insta-die, but only 50 HP means they can be quite the liability. And now we see the push out. Corv will reclaim the area around his base. It's going to be a full pullback coming out from CsO, and he is now going into the monks. I don't like the timing. I think you probably needed more people on wood, but the problem is by going these deer, the problem with the deer is they spawn so far away from tree lines, there's no alternative resource here, right? So it leads to this weird sticky situation where you've got 400 extra food and not enough wood to quickly drop a monastery. So now, instead, you're going to be pumping monks at a point where Corvinus is breaking out. Now, admittedly, that out time on the gold, the food issues alongside it, does mean that the men-at-arms should be able to answer this. Unfortunately, right now, they haven't been prioritized for upgrade. Lombos are also just getting clapped down. Corv should not be able to breach this, though, right? It's double TC. It's English TC at that. You know, even Golem's going to struggle with this dive, especially considering that Corvinus never dropped a blacksmith. I mean, this is the crazy part to me that makes me shake my head whenever I see the Mastersmith build. You can't go Mastersmiths and then not drop a blacksmith. Like, I understand you're going for fast castle, but at the beginning of Castle Age, blacksmith should be one of your top priorities here. He's got 250 wood in reserve. He can afford it. Instantly, he's going to basically pay back the cost of his feudal tech up. That's kind of the crazy thing about blacksmiths with mastersmiths here, right? These researches cost 175 resources. You get 700 resources worth of free tech, and you pay 600 for a feudal age tech up. That's bonkers. Mastersmiths at that stage in the game makes the most sense out of any stage, but I've seen this way too often, man. I don't know what it is, but Ayyubid players go Mastersmiths against English and then don't actually use it. So it's going to try to race for the relics, but CsO did move out a lot quicker. So realistically, we should be looking at, what, a 2-3 split? Looks like Corvinus did peel south side, though, so might be difficult to get that central relic over here instead for CSO. This one is coming home to pop up. Gulam and Archer are on the way. Nice intercept here. And that means that actually he's going to end up losing the Monk, especially with the Gulam there. I love how these guys always have Network of Castles buff on them for some reason. Did you guys know that? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the monks are the only unit in the game that, for some reason, keeps the Network of Castles buff on the UI. I don't know why. I don't even know why they get it. They don't have an attack speed. Oh, it's such a weird detail. Okay, we still do not have a blacksmiths. There we go. Boom. There, see, all of a sudden, 700 resources saved. It's so wonderful. He's got 11 archers. It definitely makes a lot of sense now. Like, it's very valuable at this stage. Like, it's also insanely valuable in this kind of situation because an archer costs 80 resources. So, by the time you got 10, you could add another one in, or you could add more than an archer worth of damage for 70 resources more, but then also get more defense. It's such a no-brainer. Even just a few archers in with the way Master Smiths works. Second TC comes in behind this from Corvinus. So only lagging behind by a few villages, but we're now getting the farms come in. That's a little bit more permanent. We're going to hit the 2 times speed here because we're at a stage where it looks like the Yoink was successful in the center, but it came at cost on the north. So a weird exchange there, but one that favors Corvinus because he forced CSO to add another monk. Rather, it cost him a monk. I don't think he added another one in, but it's just one monk left to deal with, or to use, rather, to go for these sacred sites after the relics are grabbed. And there's one relic left up for grabs here. The crossbowmen are a problem right now. Corvinus was completely out of position, right? Because he sent the entire army north side to kind of control that area. Love the wool-ins coming in. It's really important that you block these sort of rotations. Makes your opponent more predictable. In fact, I love what we're seeing here. Walls on the south side as well. So it looks like CSO is trying to constrict the map and ensure that Corvinus can only come down the center. Obviously, eco upgrades are also in the way in for Corvinus. Haven't seen the same yet out of CSO. We are getting armorclad though. This is a really strong tool. Like I can't emphasize enough how this kind of ruins Corvinus' comp right now. I like this prepping more crossbows in response to it. Otherwise, you'd be kind of damned here. Men at arms with armorclad is just kind of insane. The amount of chunkiness these boys have makes it very hard to breach them. Behind this, the thing that's really scaring me is the food numbers that are starting to inflate. 24 farms already. On the other side of this, it's only deer and the nearby berries to work with, right? After that, Corvinus is going to have to make their own farm transition. And that's one thing that kind of sucks about the Ayyubids compared to the Abbasids, is the Abbasids have options with things like Fertile Crescent, with agriculture that makes them better. The Ayyubids, you're already out the gate worse with the gathering rate. And you don't really get anything that helps you because of the way these landmarks work. It's a one and done at the start of an age up, and your one and done choice for food-related stuff was the extra food on the berries. Now, admittedly, is an extra 100 food. It will last a while, but it means as we kind of creep deeper and deeper into this game, the infinite food is already being scaled. It's already being sorted. And what makes it frustrating is, you know, for the English, it's not cost inefficient at this stage. A 25% increased gathering buff is insane. And the fact that you only pay 37 wood for these farms makes it so feasible for this civ. Got Gavin in the center. Love the outpost. Just make sure he's got that extension of aura. I'm wondering if we see a keep coming out of CSO in like the next 2 minutes. I think it's a very powerful play around this location here. Forward to the sacred site to control it. And then also it gives you a staging point from which you can spawn siege, you can retreat to. And right now, Corvinus doesn't really have anything to get through that. Corv should have a strong time ahead of him in the fight, though. We're actually seeing the research come in. Sultan's Mamluks is on the way. And this allows you to snowball. But the critical element is you need to win to snowball that, right? But once you start chasing a fight away, all of a sudden you get that damage escalation, that movement speed escalation. The scary part against the English at this stage is they have the aura. They've got the attack speed aura that kind of offsets that damage increase, right? And theirs isn't conditional to the same constrictions that yours are. The condition is you need to be near an outpost or TC or keep. But that's a lot easier to obtain than the condition for Corvinus, where you have to kill a unit to even get them off. Wait, is CSO just... He's holding onto a lot of food and gold. I'm wondering, is he going to Berkshire drop the center? Okay, that's actually... That is just disgusting, but really, really smart. A Berkshire does the keep requirement, but doesn't cost you 900 stone, right? And then it also gets you an age ahead. It gets you into a perfect point with these farms. You're already up to 40. 40 with enclosures is going to be insanely strong here. Dude, I actually think he's going for it. That's crazy. Like, he's got all these gold workers here, so all he has to do is pull the 18, drop the Berkshire. You don't even need it forward to the Sacred Site. It achieves the same, right, with the insane range it has. And at that stage, like, you know, if you drop the Berkshire here, your opponent can't access the gold to the south side, right? It should be in range. What a wild build. CsOH is so creative, man. Like, those 6 Lombos done enough to ruin the Ayyubid's day and slow them down. And it also kept them in check for a while. Like, it made Corvinus a bit paranoid about coming out when he should have. And now we have this awkward predicament for Corv. Where he's about to find himself an entire age behind on a Civ that can't really rush it up. I mean, you've got Advancement Wing, but still going to be an expensive price and still going to be a minute and a half. Units moving in. Outpost is here, so he sees it all. He's going to look to snipe the eco, and while he's doing this, he's sneaking a Berkshire behind this. Just such a creative way to play this from CsOH. That's twice in the game they've snuck a tech up while attacking. It's so ballsy. It's interesting as well because it spits in the face of logic. Like, typically RTSs, you back up to protect your tech up so you don't get punished on an overextension. But it's a smart read because of the way that Corvinus is playing. Like a shy kid here. He doesn't want to come out and play. I can't blame him when the kids who want to play with him happens to be such a bruiser. I'm going to speed this up. No real moves being made on either side right now of that tech up. More farms being added in behind this. This is kind of getting ludicrous, right? We're at 40. I imagine we'll be going up to 50, 55 in Imp. But the gold is insane. He's got 1.5k in reserve. That's enough for enclosures. That's enough for network of citadels. That's enough for your elite statuses. You've got everything you need. And now the Springles are getting ready to fight. But the Berkshire is a problem. Corvinus about to dive one of the most sticky defenses the English can ever spawn. Sticky and icky, it feels like. Incendiary shot's going to come out. Village is going to be pulled to repair here, though. That's going to force the dive. Corvinus has to go past it. In fact, it's going to be a garrison inside just to get more arrow fire out here. And this is going to be a firm hold. There's no way Corvinus is going to be able to break this quick enough. Elite crossbow upgrades just came in. And with the golden hats here, that should signal the end for Corv. Entire age behind. No big food source to work with. Game 1, just a very clean and simple execution from CsOH. Last of the men-at-arms. Just going to chase after those Manjaniques. I imagine as soon as they go down, Corvinus is going to accept defeat here. I mean, this isn't a complete rout. He doesn't have enough food to reboom an army. He doesn't have enough food to go in. He has nothing left. Surgical execution out of the promising Chinese player here. Really is channeling his inner Naruto. But don't worry, folks. Corvinus will get a chance to strike back. That's right. This is a best of 5. 1 on the board. But you need 2 more if you want to get yourself through. I got a feeling that our boy Corv isn't quite dead yet. Wait, did I have the score showing 1 the whole time? Or did I have got an admin updating it now? Whatever. Let's get ready. I'm going to quickly open up Corvinus's data. We will get into the second game. So what do we have draft-wise? We just saw Ayyubids versus English. It's Corvinus's pick. Probably Delhi, right? Delhi game 2. So Corvinus is a really big fan of Delhi on Coastal Cliffs. So I have a feeling we might be going to Coastal Cliffs. And dude, okay, I was right. We are going to Coastal Cliffs, but I was wrong about the Civ choices. This is very interesting, actually. I don't think I've seen more than 1 Jeanne game on this map and more than 1 Zhu Xi game. And that Zhu Xi game had Corvinus playing the Delhi, but apparently he saw something there that inspired him. Game 2 is going to be Jeanne D'Arc in the hands of CsOH. Meanwhile, Corvinus, looking to recover from an early loss, is opting for the Zhu Xi. A Civ that recently got nerfed pretty hard, and I think they might struggle now in this matchup. But let's find out. First Jeanne pick we've got to see in the tournament. And it's going to be on Coastal Cliffs, a.k.a. mini Dry Arabia. Just take Dry Arabia and chop off a third of it, and you've now got Coastal Cliffs by Avali. Uchicha Obito, a.k.a. CsOH, will be picking Jeanne here. Meanwhile, with the north side, Corvinus is on the Zhu Xi. It's not a bad spawn, actually. Double gold and food. If this is going to be a Chuganu all-in, this is the way that you get a lot of value out of it. And Chuganu all-ins are kind of annoying for Jeanne D'Arc because of the fact that, like, even when you go for the Women at Arms, you can only reduce the damage down to 3, not to 1, right? Compared to archers. Other side of it is like, yes, you can build knights, but your opponent can also spam spears. I do think, however, in this matchup and the full feudal all-in, if you just go 1-1-1 as Jeanne, add in a few knights and save them for the end of the fight and go spear archer mass, you're going to farm up a storm. And you'll still have an ability to win fights afterwards. So let's see what approach the two are going to take. Tech up should be ready soon. There's no doubt in my mind this is going to be School of Cavalry and Meditation Garden, respectively. You could go Jeanne D'Arc, but I think most people like to win games, which is why that always ends up being second. Sometimes it works when you open Horseman, but do you really ever want to open Horseman up against Jeanne D'Arc? The answer is a no, and if for a second you were getting ready to answer otherwise, you can thank me for quickly saying no. It's a losing battle there. The Horsemen just do not contest knights at all. Okay. This is not for stables, though. Like, is the answer a yes, Corvin? No, this is archery ranges, right? It has to be 2 to 3 archery ranges. The reason, like, so I've thought about this a lot, and the only reason I can think that you want to go Zhu Xi, Jiangnan first over Meditation Garden is because you want to drop a lumber camp and pull all your workers there, so your first Imperial official buffs all your income. Because at that stage, if you do, for example, go stables, what you end up with is a situation where you're basically paying 120 resources, if you think about it. Because you get 20% more wood, so that covers the difference in cost between the stables and spawning the free unit. But, like, going mass stables here would feel really dicey. School of Cavalry complete. Meditation Garden is not going to be on the other side. Instead, it's going to be stable opening. Is he expecting Hunter Jeanne? But it's the only other thing I can think here is that he thinks this is going to be Hunter Jeanne coming out of CSO. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. Unless this is... Dude, he's not doing the Pro Scouts build. He's doing the Pro Scouts build. Dude! I forgot. We cast like 3 Corvinus games of him doing this, but... This was like a weird game to do that in, no? Like, the timing of the knights arriving is going to block out the deer. I don't think this can work. We're going to have to see. Scouts... need to move out now. He needs to get back and start sniping down these deer. Unfortunately, the knights are already arriving. I love this idea from Corvinus. I've seen this work against English, for example, which is crazy. Usually can beat English with it. Japanese. But the issue is that Jeanne D'Arc is not a slow civ. With 5 minutes in, they have the woman at arms and a knight. All they have to do is camp here. Like, you camp this one, you send your scout to the right side, and all of a sudden, Corvinus can't do anything, right? These spearmen don't feel great against the woman at arms, right? She's on her way now. Knight is going to have to guard for a little bit. You might get 2 or 3 of these deer, but I'd be surprised if you get much more than that. It's like they've got a few scouts out. I don't know why they've shown different icons. I guess starting scout and other scouts, but that usually doesn't happen. Now the women at arms is here, so... This is where it becomes a predicament, right? This is my worry and why I thought it was going to be Meditation Garden. I imagine that they didn't want to do Medi Garden, by the way, because it would have had to been out here, and that means you can't defend it. So, like, Knights and Jeanne can camp here and ruin it. But this at least gave you a surge timing into the Pro Scouts build. Dude, I love this innovation from Corvinus. I've been saying that Pro Scouts are being slept on. We've seen a few players utilizing it quite heavily, Corvinus and B being chief among them. But I just think that this is maybe the wrong civ to do this against. I'll have to see, though. Archers now being queued up. Weirdly enough, what? CSO's leaving. Oh my god, he thinks he's going for the right side, dear. Are you kidding me? So that creep to the tree line actually hit Corvinus. And it means he gets more deer back. So actually really well played by the Hungarian. You know, just playing the edge of vision to the point that when you're playing Jeanne, one of the big issues you face is that if you aren't killing something, if you're not like actively attacking, and there's something else you could attack on the map, like boars, for example, you feel like you're wasting your time. And time is of essence with Jeanne, because it's all about how quickly you can get into your Castle Age form, as in your Tier 3. Because Tier 3 can break the game against a Feudal Age army. Like, you know, even if it's Mass Chuganu, they're going to struggle. So, it's quite crafty the way he's forced this, but now Corvinus on the counteroffensive may be a mistake. Knights, oof. Do pinch him long enough to do heavy damage to the Horseman. Okay, so now you've given him someone to chase off though, right? If CSO comes back now to block the deer, you're not going to get them. The other crafty thing that I love here is the outpost on the deer on the ford. Why would you do this? It's not the Horsemen, guys. It's the Scouts. So now what happens is if Corvinus tries to yoink the deer away, which he wants to do eventually to make pro scouts worth it, you just destroy him. Speed destruction. Another horseman goes down. And notice that they're just sitting here with Jeanne D'Arc women at arms, right? Because if scouts come in and try to yoink it, you garrison outpost, you run in with Jeanne, you get a club, and you're also getting 7 XP per kill. So it's a pretty crafty move. A little bit surprised they're still giving over this extra deer for free, though. I think I'm not a fan of that. I think it's like a very logical, easy blocker to be on top of. They are now rotating around with nearby cav units. Unfortunately, that's just a bit too late. And now, Corvinus is about to find his way up into Castle Age. I'm a bit concerned that for a person building this many knights, CsO didn't play constrictive enough on the map. They saw 2 of these horsemen, 2 spearmen, and it almost felt like they panicked. Because the reality is, like, your opponent hasn't built much of an army there, right? He got 2 of those units for free. So he only actually spent 120 plus 80. He only spent 200 food, 200 resources rather on an army. And then, 2 extra scouts. So yeah, a little bit of a weird build. CsO, I'm wondering what his reaction is going to be when he sees this tech up. Will he try to rush up himself behind this, or will he all in? Because my issue is if you're going to all in, you're 3 minutes away from Castle Age. Shaolin monks will eat all those relics up in that time. So to me, it feels more logical to just spam units now and block any sort of economical gains for Corvinus. And no, you cannot carry ball with the pro scouts. Only in the campaign, actually. If you play the campaign, the Rus campaign especially, you can carry them. But for obvious reasons, you cannot carry a 2,000 food source with 1 unit. Flash coming in. Corv. He's actually being very smart about this. If he had queued up a Shaolin Monk, this would already be like practically unplayable. You wouldn't win this fight against Knights. French Knights would destroy you here. So actually a really smart play here to get the Lancers together. He has got a lot via the Pro Scouts to work on in terms of food, so he can scale this number. The concern is whether you can scale it fast enough. Supervision is critical here. And that's why he's doing it right now. Every 14 seconds a Lancer comes out. Other side takes 29. That's why we need to see more stables. One tough part I do see in this game is, like, right now, you're not starving the food off of CsO tool, and CsO also has Consecrate. So they can actually afford more buildings worth of production than you can at this stage in the game, right? Like, the savings they're making are pretty notable here. Getting a nice 35 food discount on every single unit. Cool. We'll get back out for the deer, so well played there on the timing. Waits for CsO to go away. Like, he's genuinely trying to avoid a fight, because he understands at this point in the game, taking a fight is taking a loss here. And Corvinus cannot afford to find himself on match points so early on in a series. When you get into best of 5s, best of 7s, best of 9s, when your opponent gets match point too early, they're able to bait you into bad picks. They force you to throw away very desirable civs for later series points and early phase. We've seen this before where, it used to be, for example, I remember in the olden days where Vortex always loved to open Mongols. A player like Marinelord might come in and pick Mongolian Heights, opens with Mongols from Vortex, and then the response was Abbasid, which back in those days was absolutely terrible. It's just such a big strategic advantage. Spearman now being added in. Oh, this is crafty, actually. I think CsO could have went a lot earlier and should have went a lot earlier, but... Wait. Buddy? Okay, we're just going to let the Monk run by. What? I'm so confused right now. Corvinus is going to look to seek shelter. You can't dive like this, man. It just doesn't work that well. Might find some gold workers for your trouble, because that's a little bit of a slow reaction by Corvinus, so a few are going to go down. So does end up being worthwhile in the end, but that was almost a disaster. You have to remember, you're up against the Zhu Xi. They got the villagers, they got the TCs, but in the end, it's a sick read. 5 eco kills. On the other side of it, return fire, though. Lancers go in. And they are going to find some. So it ends up being a 4-5 exchange here. The Monk, is he going to be spotted? Wait, where is the Monk right now? Wait, is he... I'm so confused. Is Corvinus using the Monk for a fight? Dude, this is so odd. And now he's yoinking the deer. Villagers pull towards the army, though, and a clash comes out. Big XP for Jeanne. Divine Restoration is going to be pumped in the end. Can she survive this, though? Has to pull back. The Lance count may be a little bit too high for them to handle. A little bit too hot for them to handle. More reinforcements coming in, though, and the spears have been added in as well. As long as they target onto the Lancers, this could be huge. But instead, Jeanne goes down. But the price is so high. Corvinus loses everything on the forward. I can't believe that, man. Dude, that was sick with Jeanne. Corvinus, the reason he looked so strong before in that dive is that it was deceptive, right? 4 of it was scouts. So that was absorbing a lot of attention. It was allowing extra torch damage. But then when you peel past that, the issue that occurred there is Corvinus became so fixated on killing Jeanne. He took too long. These knights were whittling him down while 3 or 4 of his lancers at a time were not attacking. And on top of that, Jeanne was still reaping a lot of XP. Now, 15 minutes in, balls haven't been taken by Jeanne, if I'm not mistaken. So we're probably still looking at like, what, a 17, 16 minute timing. But it's still a lot closer than it was before. On the other side of it, Corvinus, for all his trouble, like, dude, he's built Shaolin monks and he hasn't used them. I'm so disappointed by this element. Like, that play would have been fine if he was 3 relics up behind this, which he could have been with the way this game played out. It's going to be a duck and run coming out from the scout. Oh, just about gets away with it. How's the food looking, though? Because that was a lot of lancers dying, and that has me a bit scared that there's not much food left over. If I'm not mistaken, it's... Wow, is it 3 deer left over? Okay, so it's 3 deer, and then you have to come out your base. This is... Oh, sorry, I hit the 2 times by mistake there. This actually could be over in favor of CSO because of starvation. Jeanne gets caught, though! Uh-oh. Cycle charge. Nice save just in time there. That would have been a huge snipe. If that happened, no buyback, no opportunity. Instead, Jeanne's not here. Clash is going to happen. Lancers get the better side of it. A lot of injured knights here from Jeanne. No Divine Restoration still for 35. But the walls are up, man. Like, you're constricted. I don't think Corvinus originally wanted to go there. And now, Royal Institute on the way from CSO. Corvinus hasn't done enough. People asking, like, how is it GG? Corv went for a fast castle build. He played pro scouts, but he's played to his limit now. He hasn't got Song. He hasn't got a farm transition going yet. He hasn't gone 2 TC. And he's been feeding Jeanne. A little bit here and there, but getting her there, right? And now, we're probably about a minute away from a tech up. Ah, got you, got you. Fair enough, Chad. This is actually really scary. The healing that's happening right now, due to the, it's just going to be insane with real bloodlines as well. This is interesting, actually, because the injuries to your knights, you don't prime raw bloodlines in a rush, even if you can afford it. You've got enough knights to kind of justify it, but it's just better to let chivalry do its thing now and get more value towards the top off. I mean, Corvinus has to dive you if he wants to fight, and that means you have defender advantage anyway. A lot of spinning coming, but Corvinus not going to get the fight for free. A lot of idle villages there, but that's fine. Veterancy is in. These knights are big, and Jeanne has to be a minute away from going level 3. Oy, oy, oy. Side clash coming in. Corvinus quick to pull away, but goes in for the brace instead. He's going to have to force the fight. CSO pulls it back a little bit. Jeanne is just farming up XP, and now she can tank the spears. Sick micro there. CSO pulls back. He gets the level 3. And now this is a catastrophe. Divine Restoration available. Corvinus, the first fight was recoverable in terms of raw count, but this one most definitely is not. And that should be it. Like, behind this, Corvinus, what's he got left here? Deer is going to be exhausted soon. Berries, not looking like a great backup plan. I don't know what you do, man. I mean, you've got 1 relic. You've got another one on the way home, but there's still so much to gain on the map, and that's exactly now what CSO looks to play for. What a sick read. Timing has been everything in this game. I mean, timing is everything for Jeanne D'Arc. And, you know, I think CSO, there's maybe a few earlier opportunities passed up, but he always had a clear goal in mind, right? It was always about scaling his knight count into that initial engagement and then using that to pivot a tech up on a delay. And all the while, along the way, keeping Corvinus paranoid about this idea of giving XP to Jeanne. It's worked so damn well here. Now Corv with just 7 lancers. Got a group of spearmen to front this fight. Now the clash is going to come in. Jeanne actually tanking a lot of fire here. Love that drag back. 3 lancers chasing after her is a terrible trade because Jeanne does less damage in melee engagements. So it's just less DPS for you in the fight. Now, the Chadley, Jeanne's champions, able to clear up the backside. There's still going to be a few of these cavalry units left over for Corvinus. But the issue that I'm seeing is behind this. He's lost a lot of map control, right? Like, 3 relics is good, but we still have to see that farm transition. And that's what's scaring me right now. The deer never got taken fully on the south side. The boar has still been accessible, and that's kept him alive. There is a risky boar over here that CSO could play for. That's the one thing to kind of keep an eye out for. If they can get onto that boar, Corvinus is going to have to farm transition first. And you can say what you want about Song Dynasty making it easier. It's still an expensive cost. And this is the big deal. Ordnance Company now on the way. So this is where now it's not just food you're saving, it's going to be the gold. And this is huge for Arbitraire production. Right, these Arbitraire have already been reduced by 20 food. Now they're going to be reduced by 10 gold as well. Just means every fourth Arbitraire is free. Wait, was this... There was another blacksmith, right? Yeah. So the double blacksmithing for some reason. Looking for a quick tech advantage somewhere. Okay, yes, agreed. The fight was big for Corvinus, but the thing that's kind of like awkward to me still on the map is like, I just don't see how you don't run out of food here. You know what I mean? Like, they're switching now into crossbow spearmen, and the issue is if this moves away from lances towards crossbow spears, Arbitraire slap. So a point was made by Gully about royal bloodlines, and I'm kind of surprised actually that the CSO is going back for it, because I think crossbow stirrups wins the game, right? Like, I actually kind of think crossbow stirrups is your win condition. Maybe he's worried about the nest of bees, but that's another reason why I think Jeanne D'Arc is better at dealing with this than the French, is that by going nest of bees, your opponent can now just drop a siege workshop, they can use consecration, and then they can save 25-25, right? Yeah, in fairness, I should have emphasized, I didn't give enough credit to Corvinus in that fight. The tail end was good, despite the great micro by CSO. But, like, I guess I was just looking too big picture here. We've gone into analysis mode a bit too long today. I still see big teething issues in the later phase of Castle here. And yeah, Palace Guard don't feel great against this. Like, you're up against Arbitraire and Knights. You know it as well. It's literally French, right? It's the best 2 units. Palace Guard just die. Even if you want to raid, just, I don't know, I'd rather have 1 Lancer instead of 2 Palace Guard each time. Go from the walls. Meanwhile, Knights go in, though! CSO! Oh, no! Clash comes in on the tree line. Luckily for Corvinus, there was not a single cleave there. The only reason a single villager got away. But now he needs a trade, and he needs a fast one. The problem right now is that CSO already has a leg up over him. The cav are in, they're splitting up looking for targets, and they will eventually find these berry patches. Meanwhile, Corvinus, his army moves so much slower. At home, we're just seeing CSO dodge the fight, build up a secondary wave. And now he can turn this into a sandwich in which you do not want to be the meat. Springled. It's going to be a freebie. Knights are coming home. Damage already done by CSO, and now Corvinus in a dangerous dive. The type that can end the game. He needs to get this nest to be nicely parked. Away from either angle. It's critical here. Spearman, they peeled to the right side, but right now, all I'm seeing is a guy diving and TC and dying to it. Yes, there's some idle time involved in this, but with a 9 eco lead, you can afford a little bit there. Nest of bees is going to get found, though. Oh, no. And the backstab comes in. CSO is playing Corvinus like a fiddle right now. The way he just pulled those spearmen back and forth and eradicated the army. I mean, that's going to be a cleanup. Divine Restoration comes through, and now we're talking about 14 Royal Bloodline Knights riding back towards the Zhu Xi economy. Oh, dude. Such a beautiful move there. Twice, CSO is ahead. He's ahead in the way that he pulled to the eco first, and he's ahead in the way that he baited the fight there. Corvinus, his spearmen got about half the value they were meant to there. And now, like, with the amount of XP farm that's happening there from the nest of bees, from all the units dying, I don't think we'll be seeing Mecha Jeanne anytime soon. But it means that Corvinus now has to worry about that if he makes another mistake. Then again, I think if he makes another mistake, the game is over anyway. Knights coming in. It's going to be a chase away, but only until reinforcements arrive. And this is unkillable right now. The spearmen aren't even scary anymore. Flash comes in. Frontline is going to be wiped out, and I think Corvinus, I wouldn't blame a GG right here. There's just too many knights left over. Free to run looking for your economy. Jeanne is going to go down. That's a miracle in itself. But still, what we got here? 8 knights? Split them up. Send them right, send them left. And oh my god, 1 knight! 1 knight to be your nightmare. CsO, 2 games in on match point. You know, I want to just like emphasize, because a fair point was made in chat, like Corvinus did take a good fight like earlier on that engagement when we saw the first push into the base. Wasn't discrediting that, but like this is the issue when you look at these type of games. Whenever you look at a game featuring Jeanne, you can't just focus on that fight was a good trade in terms of dead units for Corvinus. You have to think XP. You also have to think about the fact that like the thing that's also extra deceptive with Jeanne is that she's not paying full price like you are. Ordnance company is kicking in. So every one of those knights going down, like let's say I lose 4 knights and you lose 3 lancers. We both paid the same. And that's before you even see things like raw bloodlines come in, cantle saddles. Like all these things just escalate the situation. So now, as we escalate towards what could be a very quick series here, Corvinus needs to strike back. And I don't like his chances. What civs does CsO have to choose from here, guys? What civ could they possibly go to try and end this series on Gorge? It's the Ottomans. It's the ever-looming Ottoman threat. Somehow, CsO got it in this series. And now, he looks to whip it out. Corvinus will make his last stand here in the Gorge with the Japanese. A true believer in the power of Nippon, but what can it do against the might of an empire? CsO in the teal and the Ottomans should be favored here. I mean, most matchups, it feels like Ottomans are favored, but maybe if he gets a bit creative here, if there's some early aggro, the Japanese could bite back. Might be a rallying point for Corvinus, right? Like if he's able to slay the unslayable Ottomans, maybe anything is possible in the series. You know, it's interesting as well, because when we look at the data on these civs, this matchup, Ottomans versus Japanese. It's a 50-50 right now in the newest patch. We go to December 6th patch, which has a lot more games played. Ottomans are 65% favored. And the reason why is the later this game goes, the worse it gets. But guys, hear me out. Corvinus is a creative fellow. Have you guys seen his Yumi outpost rush? I'm wondering if he tries it here. It makes a lot of sense already because your opponent has gone for the military school. So actually going into Yumi to counter that makes sense. And the timing on the follow-up is usually quick enough to block out any sort of cheeky Sipahi timing unless you rush them with stables. And you can already see the impact of their income because of the move out onto the berries and the level 1 Tawara being researched. Right now, Corvinus is gathering food much quicker than CsO is. Please tell me we're going to get it. I'm trying to think what other approach you could take here, because like you could go for the fast castle build, but the problem with fast castle build is like the Ottomans get theirs as well, a little bit later, mind you, but they get a lot more impact the longer that drags out. And typically with the Japanese, that fast castle build isn't about ending the game instantly. It's about chipping away at your opponent with the Mounted Samurai. Let's speed this up a bit. Courier Storehouse on the way. Love that it's on the wood line. So this is to save yourself 50 wood on the lumber camp, but also this makes it even easier to justify Yumi long term if it is a spam, because the farms fill out sooner and then you get passive wood income. Other side of it, Twin Mineral Madrasa is now on the way. So a slight lead here for Corvinus, and that's going to happen, remember. CsO, they did choose to build the military school. It's a very expensive investment. I am very curious to this, though. They've already... Okay, they've pulled... Yeah. No. This is aggro and feudal. They've pulled off the gold already. They've only got 130. This is enough to get you Steeled Arrow or Tatara. You should be going Steeled Arrow here, though. Like, Tatara, going Mass on a Bagisha this early feels quite difficult. It would be good against the Sipahi follow-up, but it would also leave you with limited ability to extend your influence. Like, if there's Sipahi on the other side and you can't actually mirror their movements, after the initial berries, you have to move out into the flanks, and that's when the Sipahi will rip you asunder, right? So the reason why I like the idea of Yumi is Yumi work a lot more aggressively, a lot faster in the game. Let's find out if there's going to be a case. Last of the wood is now about to be dropped off, and we will see the production building in a sec. Other side of this, there's still more stone being gathered, so we're going to actually see a very slow opening. This is promising, folks. Slow openings favor this Yumi build, because if you go for a second military school, you don't have active production, and with only 5 on the wood line, the needle could be threaded. Instead, it's going to be the racks, though. Okay, so no Yumi outpost rush. This is going to be the Onobugisha then, right? And funnily enough, like Onobugisha, I've talked about this for Horseman. It actually remains the same for Sipahi. It's a little bit closer, at least. Onobugisha beat Sipahi. Right? Like, Sipahi can feel a little bit better in mass because, like, they can match the Onobugisha's extra range. But the issue is scaling. Scaling is not quick. Especially when you choose to build them out of the military school. And if I'm not mistaken, CSO, say ain't so, did they not scout this? I think they rotated a little bit too late. Like, it looked like they might have got a glimpse of it. So I'm curious, because if you did scout this, I don't think you just take this approach. You don't go second military school. You have to go for a production building, an active one. Right? Pay the pauper. Second racks is being added in. We're actually doing this. The implications are interesting when you think about it, actually. Like, I think the Yumi into an outpost rush is a bit of a gamble, and I think Corv knows that. He'd done it a few times in some tournament games and show matches, and it had a hit-and-miss type element to it, right? Sometimes it looked dominant, other times it made you question why Yumi exist. Onobugisha have always been a consistent anchor of the Civ, though. And here's the interesting thing. Initial berries, secondary berries, deer. They're all in one area. Samurai now also being added in. Stables is being dropped. Blacksmith as well. So it looks like the Spearman should end up dying. Onobugisha, oh, didn't completely attack. But you can idle out the gold here. And that means no Blacksmith upgrades, right? You've only got enough for one. So funnily enough, the villagers are going to attack back here. Going to pull this away. Can easily finish off that low Spearman. Nice. And now you win this fight. You should actually win this fight. Oh my god. Did that one extra stab make the difference? I think it did. The dead Spearman just about saved him, but the Onobugisha now able to back away. Will be gap closed eventually, but I don't think the charge lasts long enough here. No, it cancels out. So Onobugisha actually stays alive. A Samurai's been queued in, but I don't know if that's intentional here. Scout's going to have to pull away eventually. He's just holding the Sipahi back. If you have 3 Onobugisha, they'll beat a Sipahi. Quite easily. 2, I haven't tested 2 thoroughly, but like 3 will definitely win. A little bit of a mistake with the injured one there, but at least gets to clear up on the spear. And the Sipahi, although they're scaling slowly, Corvinus, meanwhile, needs to get some constriction on this. He needs to bog CSO down. Because if CSO gets to a point where he feels confident about moving away, you're going to have exposed economy. The berries are about to run out, and that's when you have to pull here and here. So for now, we're probably going to see some extra sheep, but Corvinus has to start taking risks, right? So that's why we're seeing the farmhouse. Yes, you've got all the sheep, but while there isn't pressure, you need to try and utilize the pockets. Because in 2 or 3 minutes, there could be enough Sipahi for 2 or 3 to just leave and go and do that to you. What an interesting series this is now turning into. I mean, Ottomans are most powerful in that late game, right? Like, I actually think we've seen Japanese try to match up against them in Castle Plus, and I don't know, I kind of like this idea of playing against them in the Feudal Age. Onobugisha is a very strong point. I think there's a limited life to this type of play, though. It's all about timings, and one of those timings is around Blacksmith techs, which we're funnily enough seeing both players prioritize now. So it looks like Corvinus is going to keep the melee tech lead here. Really important with Master Onobugisha. And also, we should be reaching a point gradually where Stone equal Daimyo. And Daimyo, with Samurai, Spear, and Onobugisha, beats all. I actually love the fact we're seeing Spears, and I didn't think I'd ever say that. I vomit at the thought of Spearmen from Japanese, but because they've already got Samurai as well, it makes sense for Corv. If this was only Onobugisha, it'd be silly, but with the Samurai, you're just looking for this A-click army. It's just make monkey noises and go in. And funnily enough, against the army that CSO has formed, it works. Onobugisha do chase away the gold workers there. Pretty annoying right now because you're trying to get these extra blacksmith decks, right? Like, you're now in a situation where that idle up means you do not have Steeled Arrow. Steeled Arrow is going to be huge for this fight. You need it to just easily dispatch these Onabigishia quick enough before they gap close. And what a brilliant 1-2 pull. Unfortunately for him, CsO was not going to the golden left side. Instead, they basically just idled at home. Villager is going to go down, though, and he catches the archery range mid-construction. Oh, my God. I actually think he just got completely outplayed there. Corvinus, he's going to move in for the military school. This is ambitious, but you've got a lot of torches right now. It's doable. Onabigishia, meanwhile, just keeping the Sipahi here. Army is running back in a panic, but folks, that's a military school that could easily go down. It's going to be a dive by the Onabigishia to force the villagers away. And now you just continue the torch. What a sick read. Sends the samurai in that can tank this all. Onabigishia following afterwards. The TC is not hitting the right targets. What a great play. You know, if there's one thing the Ottomans will look to protect, it's their military schools. And now we get a clash. Archers trying to assist from behind this. Sipahi wrapping around. It looks like wave 1 will be shut down. Corvinus at least able to force a fight, but an expensive one at the end of it. That dive, I don't like it. I think it was too sticky in these choke points, right? Like the samurai number's not high enough. So this will get cleared up. But Corvinus still has plenty of fuel. Second wave is on the way. More spearmen layered in this time. And that was the problem, right? That last fight, the issue is he dove. I think if he hung around the military school, this looked good, right? Like, he almost got it low enough. The thing that baffled me is the fact that he went into a choke point against archers. That's a no-no. Now, Corvinus, he's building up a new wave behind this. CsO is getting a little bit overconfident. I think you need to slow this down a bit. You just took a great fight. That was a big mistake by Corvinus. But you need to breathe. You've got control. Go on the gold. Get your Steeled Arrow upgrade. Scale the archer count and come again. Dude, look at the amount of work that done. Now, third military school in. Corvinus. The reason why this game isn't just over is because of what's now queued. Daimyo. So this is the one thing I was keeping an eye on. That's why I haven't just lost my mind that he threw away troops like that. It's bad, but there's 1 point, just 1 point of recovery in this series for Corvinus in this game. And it's the Bannerman. That one Katana Bannerman, 15% more damage on this entire army. That's what could break this. It was a slippery, awkward issue. I think Corvinus done something he absolutely did not need to do there. That dive, I love the military school play, because you can always force a fight by going melee school. But going in should never happen. Corvinus needs to be careful. Got a raid! Oh, no. Okay, you just have to go. Like, you actually have to kill right now. You can't hang around. Villagers are going to pack up and move away a lot quicker than what Corvinus done there. What a catastrophe! Corvinus, we talked about this threatening point in the game where when you play pocket ecos, the Sipahi will come out and they will punish. And we see that exactly here, but punishment in return. You can't kill the eco units, but the military schools can't move. So this one is definitely going down. Fight's about to happen. Archer's being revealed as questionable right now. The spearman count is what he's trying to reduce before he engages, but you just don't have a choice here. Onabigishia forcing them out. Still 5 spearmen in the mixer. No aura either. Meta going down. Katana Bannerman is still alive, and Corvinus continues to dive. In the retreat, Archers being exposed, but Corvinus has to back up. He needs all the army here. The numbers were thinning a little bit. He needs a second wave of spearmen. In fact, he's not even building them now. It's just samurai. This can be dangerous. The good news is that samurai will front line. The way that formations work now is Onabigishia should go to the back. Right? I think that, if I remember correctly, they made that change. So, even if they don't, all you have to do is when the fight begins, you pull the Onabigishia only back, and then the samurai go in, and then you slap them. This is a lot of samurai for the army of the Ottomans to deal with. Like, CsO doesn't have Steeled Arrow still, and I'm actually getting worried he's never going to get it. Oh my god, dude. This is actually such a big difference, and it's so neglectful. To prioritize the melee tech upgrade instead of the archer upgrade doesn't... I don't agree with it. It's so unnecessarily risky here. Onabagisha are going to be a little bit too late. Looks like the walls will go up. There's a raid on the backside. Sapahi find their way out onto the eco. Corvinus needs to find some return kills here. I mean, the weird part as well is, if I'm not mistaken, is there missing production here? Like, the eco count doesn't make sense, right? We've had 8 worker kills versus 2. It's a 3 villager difference. So CSO has made some mistakes. And wait, did he actually get in? Oh my... Come on! Dude, these end walls! Unbelievable. Raid on the farms at least scares them into building an outpost, so nice hit there, but now we have a problem here. Because if I'm not mistaken, it looked like someone was getting greedy. I actually think CSO was trying to go Castle Age. Oh my god, dude! This has to be so frustrating right now. Like, you see 19 Samurai, you know it's too late to scale archers, so you have to go for a tech up, and instead you run into your death! Oh no. He's actually doing it. Corvinus with the Feudal Age all in. After that initial fight, CSO, he approached this like a logical player. He went, oh yeah, no, yeah. He's not going to do that again. He's just going to go for Castle Age. He's going to whimper like a dog. Maybe as in a TC as well. But I'm going to be Ottoman Castle Age, puffs the pipe. I'm going to be heading towards Bombars, puffs the pipe. I feel good, but not Corvinus, no. Anyone else, sure, but not this guy. I told you before, Japan, the Zerg. Play him like Zerg. In we go. Villagers run for their lives to safety. Clash underneath the TC. But Onabagisha in. The Janissary point is a desperation play right now. And wait, are you kidding me? He's on the attack speed. No way. No melee armor. This is it. Corvinus is breaking him. Spearman still left alive. Sapahi count is shrinking, shriveling up. Onabagisha chase away the remaining archers. The Samurai are still standing strong. Just a few left underneath the TC. Army gets mopped up. I cannot believe this. Corvinus, a game that it seems like he has no right winning. He says, who are you to tell me what's right and what's wrong? I'll tell you, this is dirty, son. That's all I'm going to say. Archer number down to 8. Sapahi reduced to 1. Make that none. And all of a sudden, it's no longer going to be none on the board for Corvinus. He strikes back. It took a while. But I am happy to say, it looks like we are finally going to be able to put a number up there for him. I just noticed that for some reason, the score flipped back. Let me fix that. Oh my god, what a crazy game between these two. I mean, he's at a loss now. He has to reinvest all the food. This is not Castle Age anymore. It can't be. It's still just more Samurai. And the crazy part is, like, this was reaching a kind of dangerous point, right? You had the boar afterwards. I think the deer is quickly being exhausted. So, like, you can maybe afford 20 more Samurai. But it's enough runway is the point. Had this been an all-in feudal from Ottomans, maybe it's a different matter. But what a sick read here. Oh, CSO not willing to give up just yet. I mean, can you blame him? He's playing as the Ottomans. If you have to GG with Ottomans in a series, it doesn't feel great. But this unorthodox strategy out of Corvinus is fantastic. So, some people are shocked, they're gobsmacked at the fact the Japanese can win against the Ottomans in feudal. They shouldn't. They really shouldn't. And there's one very big reason why they shouldn't. Can anyone in the chat guess why the Ottomans are meant to win this matchup in this way? It's actually so stupidly simple. It's a face palmer when you realize it. It's the meta. +2 armor against the full melee army. But from what I could see in that fight, the Golden Glow was on attack speed. Actually, I think he switched it by mistake and then tried to toggle back. But, like, it was too late, right? The meta got sniped earlier on too early. I think that engagement, if I'm not mistaken, there was a panic because we saw it was on cooldown, so it had been toggled. He got into the melee armor literally as the meta died. That's the difference here. If you have +2 melee armor, you offset both melee techs of the Japanese. So powerful. Then if you add in your extra armor, it's trivial. Sipahi raiding once more. Jesus, I can't believe this, man. Like, you're just seeing a very different approach. CSO's like, I just need to survive you. I need to out-survive you. I'll go after your economy, I'll starve you out, and then eventually I will use passive production to deal with those bloody samurai. But the problem is, how do you outlast him when you have no eco that can consistently work here? Right? Like, you've got 55 economy, but look at how they're having to play the game. This is desperate mode from Ottomans, just trying to hide off in the corners from the samurai. Wow, are you actually kidding me? Not only does Corvinus force CSO off of his castle age timing, he now gets it. Alright, dude, just give him his win and go next. I mean, I think CSO has to realize writing on the wall here, right? Because this isn't just a crappy rabble that's going to be upgraded. You know, 9 spearmen, and maybe you don't want to upgrade the spearmen, but the Onobugisha, the samurai especially, like, upgrading them into their veterancy, that's the big slapper here. With a Dachi tech as well. I mean, it means if you follow a tech up, like crossbows, they'll be picked apart before they can scale. Men-at-arms do not win. Tech up complete. And immediately drops in the rack. So here we go. Queues up the upgrades. Clash is going to come out. But oh my god, the timing! You can't take this fight. You legit can't take it right now. Veterancy just came in! The sickest Yorishiro drop I think I'm going to see all tournament. That just broke it. Oh my god. Melee armor completely offset by the veterancy of the samurai. And now CSO, even with an eco lead of 12, eternally in feudal age, is somewhere you do not want to be. Samurai, carry it all. GG, 2-1, Corvinus, all of a sudden, flashes to life. And I just, wait, what scene am I on here? Wrong scene. That scene. All right, so we have got more games. Corvinus strikes back, dude. Like, I actually love that he played him. So, like, I mean, I've said this. Whether it's Yumi, Onebugisha, Horseman even, like the Bannerman auras allow you to play a Feudal Age Plus like we talked about the Ottomans have. But dude, I think the critical point in that game is just the misread by CSO. If CSO had kept escalating his own army instead of being greedy in this game, I actually think they would have won. But CSO got paranoid that after he took that really good fight where Corvinus looked like he threw the game underneath the TC, all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, he's not going to hang around. There's no way you reboom an army quick enough. We're both just going castle age, right? So he starts saving. He builds a few more units, but he continues to save. And that was his mistake. There should be no saving. When you're given an opportunity to potentially win the game, you take it. You sink your teeth into it and make weird dog noises. That's how we work. But that is not what we saw here today. So, means we get an extra game. We just had Gorge. We head next into Dry Arabia for a Delhi Chinese showdown, and Corvinus back up against the wall, starts to rally, chooses one of his most prolific civs. Unfortunately, CSO, the Chinaman, is going to be playing as the Chinese here. A very powerful pick against the Delhi on a map like Dry Arabia. Those Barbican drops split the map in two and ruin what the Delhi thrive in. Let's see if Corvinus has an apt solution to it as we head into game number 4 between these two. Let me flip and update those scores. Because although Corvinus is on the board, core fans, I'm afraid he's still a game down here. North side, we're going to have Corvinus spawning in with the Delhi in the blue. Teal once again in the hands of CSO, this time on the Chinese. So looking at the spawn already, kind of nice double forward tree line here in a way that makes it very easily wallable, so it's hard to raid into. Other side of it is that the gold is retracted behind this. Like, yeah, a lot of this is quite nice for the Chinese on an opening. On the other side of this, Corvinus, a lot of forward spawning resources. That's not too bad in the Chinese matchup. I'm looking at this, though. The sacred site locations. This is ugly skews. If you go for a Barbican here, you block this tree line, you block this tree line pass. You have to wrap really wide. One negative I could see in a Barbican build for CSO in this game that has been a big issue, and I think it's why we see the Chinese start to struggle against Delhi, though, is that on Dry Arabia, you no longer get a boar very close to the sacred site often. Like you're seeing, this is way too far to pull unless you go like here. On this side, it's non-existent because for some reason both boars are on the right. So like, unless you want to run far right here, which seems unlikely, although you can Barbican drop to block a sacred site, you can't Barbican drop and make it a Barbican drop. We'll see what he's got in mind. It might just be Imperial Academy to open up. I don't think it can be, right? It is. Wait, hear me out. I can't believe I'm going to suggest this. We saw Zhu Xi Pro Scouts play. There's no way he's thinking of doing the same thing with Chinese, right? No, there's no way. Like, isn't there? Am I, like, delusional? That doesn't work, surely, because the timing, the issue is the pressure that comes in on you. It has to be Barbican. I mean, realistically, with this timing, like, look at it. You just walk villagers on a delay, you can still actually get out and drop a Barbican. But they haven't moved out at all. So what has CSO got in mind here? Is this fast castle? Dude. This is fast castle. Oh, that's sick. That's actually vile. No, okay, it's not. All right. Calm your horses, KP. Really? Okay, like, I've got a few pros that are watching right now. Like, if you saw a Barbican drop like this at the deli, like, your mentality is like, lock it in, we're going game 5, right? It has to be. Because this is like a very underwhelming Barbican. I mean, it's a sick deer stack, I'll give him that. And he is going to get those deer, but like typically this Barbican play is about blocking the resources of Delhi, right? I kind of like the idea of fast castle into, say, like Palace Guard spam. You just Palace Guard spam and rush your opponent, right? And like you use your influence on the map, the fact that you're taking winning fights to play out onto food resources, but that's not what we're seeing here. Gonna see a long wall on the west side. No defenses on the right. First Gazi being queued up. I'm going to hit the 2 times here. We'll get a little bit more speed to this because I think the video is getting a bit long. And again, we've got 4 games so far here. Double blacksmiths is interesting. I understand why, because it's Chiganu, right? If you don't have double blacksmiths, you don't have protection. So you can always see he's queued up under mesh and steeled arrow in a rush. And that makes it so that you can actually compete with the Chinese if they're massing up into Chiganu. But like that's not the case here. Like this is legit CSOs just playing very greedy. And I'm kind of weirded out by this, man. It's almost like CSO is playing different to the intended build to throw Corvinus off the plan. I did mention that that kind of makes sense because although the Chinese historically have been favored against the Delhi, I've recently noticed that this Barbican drop, because of the lack of resources nearby, doesn't hit as hard. Like, yeah, you can walk like 1 villager out and get this built up, but for a multitude of reasons, the fact that you don't have like the ability to pull 8 for a Barbican and then go for boar or deer afterwards, and also the fact that now with Imperial Academy being better, you have to delay getting your better landmark, it just feels really bad. So, TC up. Move out into the deer now. My question is, like, do you still try and rush castle here? Because with the walls going up, like, this is the crazy part. I feel like Corvinus should not have allowed these walls. Like, when the scout came by and saw what was happening to the Barbican, you should have tried to keep, like, a gap open. But now you have to dive past it. And we are getting archery ranges. This is going to be Chiganu mass. Makes a lot of sense, right? Like, if you try to rush castle without any units at all, you're going to get flatlined. I thought maybe spears, and then you just try to use the static defenses, but instead, I think they want to maybe hang around in this age, at least for a little bit. And no, we're recapping games to the weekend. So while we're live casting these are a bunch of games that were not cast in the qualifier. And that, to me, is criminal, because as we're seeing in series like this, after that game 3, my god, did people miss out on a lot of entertainment. 2 Sacred Sites locked in. Third on the way. Walls are being complete here, but it looks like the Ghazi are arriving before they are fully structured. So gap is going to be kept open, but the issue with Delhi here is that you don't want to dive. We've actually seen loads of Delhi players lose because they have to go for a dive around 10 minutes, and they throw away their army lead. Like, that's the worst thing you want to do here against Chiganu and choke points and double hand cannon fire, right? So it would be nice to stop this wall going up, but fundamentally, like, you just have to play it for what it is. Play Sacred Site, start that timer, and then force CSO to come out. So, little discussion on preference on what you want to get. Faster upgrades via the double blacksmith or just prioritizing scholars. Interesting point being raised by Gully, but my counter argument here is that you go double blacksmith so you can rush the scholars out earlier typically, and then you basically just guarantee steeled arrow and undermesh at the same time if you're worried it's Chuganu massing. Okay, that might be... I don't remember the last time I saw someone without a rally point that long on double archery range. 3 Sacred Sites locked in. The only thing that worries me is if Corvinus kind of gets ambitious about tech here. I don't know if you want to castle up. Maybe you have to. I'm trying to think if like Ghazi Archer beats just Mass Chuganu on the defensive. Because the problem right now is like you've got 9 minutes. I genuinely think you could just blink and go Castle Age like that with CSO's Chinese here. You've got walls up to delay any breach. You've got enough Chuganu to scare him away. And then once you tech up, usually you're weak, right? But the crazy thing about Chinese is with Supervise, you just get the upgrade so quick that Chuganu shred the entire army. Ram's coming out. Corvinus, oh my god, he's actually going to try to go in again. Am I imagining this? Like, I feel as if at this point in this matchup, your goal isn't to go into the enemy base. Your goal is to lock down these sacred sites. Make them unbreachable. Maybe even consider Castle Age. Like, dude, this is such an overcommitment. 4 Rams? I've seen so many Delhi players lose games like this. Like, it feels like the only way that you can usually lose is doing this too early. I think what's happening right now is Corvinus is thinking about how early the TC was, the fact is Song, and he's panicking, because it's already a 20 eco lead, right? But, like, if you figure the cost of these Rams, that could have been, like, almost Castle Age. The difference already there. With 5 Rams, that's 1,000 wood. And you gather food quicker than wood. Dude, that's wild. Starts to knock in. Oh, man. Chuganu, they shred this so quick. Like, this is the other concern I have. It's like, yes, it's only Chuganu, but remember, Rams got the raw HP nerf from 420 to 340. Chuganu annihilate them. He's doing 150 damage per round of attacks against a 340 HP unit. It's so not pretty. Rams move in. Chuganu come out to play. They're going to have to start a step back. Ghazi try to surround them. It's important he doesn't allow him to get the full surround. But he's going in for it anyway. Barbican gets garrisoned. Into the choke point he goes. Ghazi numbers are getting low, though. I don't think he's got enough fuel in this tank right here. Only 8 Ghazi left over. And 37 Chuganu. He'll get rid of the Barbican, but this is going to cost him everything on the exit. No way, man. Like, this is exactly what I was worried about. You've got to respect the hand cannon slits. 34 Chuganu left over. Corvinus seemed like he got angsty. Maybe he thought there was a tech up, something happening behind this, but no. Another falls victim to mass Chuganu. And, oh, God. What do you really do from here? Like, what is your recovery arc? He's got pocket resources for a little while longer. Behind this, though, your opponent has double Peri Patch. One's about to exhaust. He'll have to play out after that, but I love the fact he's already quartering off the map. He's going for the burying the deer site. So, CSO, in a game where he could easily just go, okay, guard and go Castle Age, he's going to invest more Chuganu, and I feel so bad for Corvinus right now, because Corvinus' play is to go in again. And if this was a castle tech up, like it should be, this would make sense. But the sad reality, the irony, is after the way Corvinus refused to go Castle Age after taking this crazy fight in the previous game, now, after a crazy hold from CSO, instead of taking the tech win, he says, I'm just going to keep mashing the cube, the R button here. because I play a lot of MOBAs, and in ours, ultimates are good. And this is my ultimate form, Mass Chugenu. Oh no. 6 Rams. Barbican is slowly being repaired by 1. Vision means he sees this all, by the way. Remember, as long as you hit the Barbican for 1 HP, it gives its vision back. Now Chugenu, they're going to bait him here in the choke point. Ghazi right in, and they get tricked on the gate. I mean, this is a death spiral now, man. There's at least not a Barbican hand cannon slip, but it just doesn't matter at this stage. There's just too many repeater crossbows. Ghazi go down again, and this means the Rams have to leave. Oh, no. This has to be so demoralizing. I mean, you're stuck in a never-ending loop, one in which you always lose against Chugenu, and that's not changing now. I can't believe this, man. Okay, you know, like, hear me out, guys. I have a solution here. Imagine if he put all the Ghazis and the archers in the Rams. Imagine if he clown card in, and then when he's in range, boom. Instead, these empty Rams are now just getting melt-moded by Mass Chugenu. Oh god, this unit is so dumb. What a brutal game. And yeah, this is a matchup that's meant to favor the Chinese, but like someone was highlighting earlier is that it's been favoring the Chinese for the Barbican drop on the central sacred site reason, right? But like that fell off because of the boar spawns as well. But now, turns out Mass Chugenu is the solution. Oh my god, dude. You know what breaks my heart is the fact that Chugenu are not going to get nerfed because Zhu Xi don't have an archer, so they can't be nerfed. It's not fair. And that means that this is not fair. And this will continue to exist in all your games until the very end of time, at which you will rip your hair out. You won't need to, actually, because it will naturally vibrate off of your skull out of sheer frustration. Sacred Site's now being decapped. The clown cars are empty and are not going to be able to stop this for long. It's so brain dead of a build, right? Just, I mean, admittedly, I think like it's kind of on Corvinus as well. The fact he invested in so many Rams and then the Rams didn't really feel like a pivotal element versus going more Ghazi, taking kind of a chip and grind him down approach would have maybe been better. I mean, Sacred Sites are protected for now, but like realistically, there's nothing to stop CSO from pulling a few villages, right? Instead, he's going to go back for the Sacred Site. Second wave's building up, though. And dude, it's fighting 3 archers and no Ghazi. CSO legit could just tech up. I mean, he's got way too much food now. He's up to 76 food. I hate this unit so much. How many people do you think have played against Mass Chugenu, lost against Mass Chugenu, and then just like installed StarCraft or another RTS, right? Like, I'm just thinking this, and like my brain after, like if I had a game like this, my brain would instantly be like, okay, I'm gonna go play a few games of Stormgate. It's just so painful. Even dog rushes don't feel this cringe. It's such a dumb build. He's still winning this fight, by the way. Like and now the reinforcements come in. How do you counter it? You become a hacker, you track their IP address, and then you pull their internet. That's the solution. There's nothing else that works here. Like typically when you see Mass Chugenu, you'd think go Castles get a mango, but that doesn't even work because they just splinter it down. GG comes out. 3-1 end in favor of CSO, and it's a CSO no, because I never want to see this build again.